from Abuja.
Hello, thank you for being a part of our show. I appreciate you. I'm Magnus Packle, and this is Magnus Packle GVA, Global Views Africa. As you know, it's all about how we can raise the level of living. That's what it's all about. In view today, Governor Peter Obi on economic development in Nigeria. Peter Obi is a former governor of Anambra State in Nigeria. But before that, in our hidden economics, guys, let them shop is in their nature. But up next, we bring you some business and development indicators in our quick view. That's coming right up. Corruption is a problem for all countries. The Corruption Perceptions Index ranks countries and territories based on how corrupt their public sector is perceived to be. A country or territory's ranking, which for 2014 goes from 1 for the least corrupt to 175 for the most corrupt, is based on scores that indicate the perceived level of public sector corruption on a scale of 0, highly corrupt, to 100, very clean. A poor ranking is likely a sign of widespread bribery, impunity, and lack of punishment for corruption. In this connection, which of the following countries is not among the top 10 least corrupt countries in the world? Denmark, Sweden, Canada, and the United States of America. Which of the following countries is not among the top 10 least corrupt countries in Africa? Botswana, Ghana, South Africa, and Morocco. Stay with us for our answers coming up shortly. Still in view, Governor Peter Obi on economic development issues in Nigeria. But up next in our hidden economics, guys, let her shop. I have slightly adjusted this story, which we did some time back. A recent study shows that ladies take their shopping habits way back from the days when men hunted and women foraged. Guys generally pop into a store, pick an item or two, and jump right out just like their hunting forefathers did. Shoot the game, pick it up, and go. On the other hand, women get back to their foraging roots by sorting through racks of blouses and skirts on sale, as if sorting through plants and fruits for signs of ripeness or spoilage. Now guys, don't even try to stop your wife or girlfriend from shopping. It won't work. It's like stopping a moving train, and it can be costly if you want happiness at the end of the day. If possible, give her the money, let her go and shop. Indeed, the group P Square, with their hit song Chop My Money, may have helped many guys as they say, if you see this baby, tell them say, she must chop my money.
If you see this baby, tell them say, she must chop my money, chop my money, chop my money, cause I don't care. Chop my money, chop my money, chop my money, cause I don't care, I don't care.
Chop my money, cause I don't care. Fact is, most women scan through their closets every morning and would like to change about 50% of the clothes they see there. Indeed, most women love being the first ones to wear the latest styles to look different from the crowd. To them, what's the fun in wearing what everyone else is wearing? Shopping for women is very relaxing. Many women pick up their purses and head to a shopping mall, when they are stressed out. As a matter of fact, like a player getting ready for a football match, women prepare for the shopping day ahead, getting set with their makeup and fine clothes and ready to go. Some guys don't understand this, so let me tell you, shopping to women does not always include buying something. There's something they call window shopping. To most men, where is the economics in just going to the store when you know you're not going to buy anything? On the other hand, women see so much economics in it. To them, it's to gain knowledge, to get to know what styles are in, which shops have a good collection, and then there's quality and prices to compare. Now back to the age of foraging. To determine whether a plant was perfectly ripe, women paid good attention to the details. They studied the colors, the shapes, sizes, textures, and smells of the trees and fruits. All of those senses come into play when trying to find shoes that match a new dress or clothes. Even the purse has to be tried on. You have to see how it hangs on the arm or on the shoulder. This is not small stuff, guys. This is serious matter. And when it's all done right, especially after full tilt shopping, look at the happiness and satisfaction when she gets home with all her loot. Guys, the spillover benefit can be very useful to you. So let her chop your money. Our hidden economics.
This girl, they make me higher, higher. I dey feel this, baby. You no go believe this can die, die. If you see this, baby, tell them say she must chop my money, chop my money, chop my money, 'cause I don't care.
Before we start our discussion in view, here are our quick view answers. The country in this list, not among the top 10 least corrupt countries in the world, is the United States of America. The country in our list, not among the top 10 least corrupt countries in Africa, is Morocco. Today we have Mr. Peter Obi, former governor of Anambra State, to discuss economic development and other issues in Nigeria. Before being governor on the platform of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, he was in business as chairman of Next International Nigeria Limited and other business organizations. During that period, he became the youngest chairman of Fidelity Bank PLC. Please join me in my discussion with Governor Peter Obi. Your Excellency, we want to thank you for being in our studios, our Magoni studios. You won a wonderful award, MDG award, for the extraordinary job that you did in Anambra State. And that's the reason why we wanted you to be on the show, because, as I said, of the extraordinary work that you had done. Some that I was privy to, I was able to see some of the things. I came to your state when you were there.
Yeah.
And a number of these things that you were talking about.
In some of the issues of fighting poverty.
Yes, we saw them. Now, and I often also say that, a number of people are so different and extraordinary. And I think it's probably because of the private sector. Do you think that across Nigeria and Africa today, that the public policy is really aimed well enough at the private sector as a way of making sure that we shore it up and we make it to be the engine, for our growth and development?
Well, it's two ways.
Yes.
First, everybody knows globally that private sector, especially the SMEs, is engine of growth of any economy.
Yes.
Because everywhere globally, they employ over 70% of the workforce in terms of the policy formulation, yes, there's the government and the policies that are formulated are enough. But implementation is where the problem is. In implementation, I would say it's not anything
You're right, I'm about.
to even talk about.
Yes. This is in Nigeria
So it is
or across Africa.
It's across Africa. It's easy. Formulation is easy, but when it comes to implementation, it's next to nothing. Or is implemented in a manner that is transactional, and that will never change any system.
What do you mean by transactional, sir?
Well, it's reading with corruption. So it's transactional. You know, if you want, that's why I say it. I used to tell people that if Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, all these people were from Africa, they would probably not have been where they are today. I looked at Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, when he started, they got their first loan based on what they call intellectual capital.
Yes.
And you know that you cannot borrow money here based on that. You probably have to bring your mother, your father, your grandfather's property and everything. So nobody funds idea.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Same thing for Steve Jobs. It wouldn't have been possible for him staying in a garage to hire the president of Pepsi and said to him, we're going to give you 5% of this company and pay you $1. Who will here live being a CEO of Guinness, for example, or a bank, to go and work for a guy in the garage for $1 a month? Who will do that? That's what John Scully did.
Yeah. But I do say that here too, to a lot of people, even my colleagues, that, you know, people, you don't look at just that thing that you're going to consume and take today. You know, but they make that sacrifice. You know, you're going to get 5% of this company down the road.
If you're going to, you see, people can sacrifice when the future is promising.
Absolutely.
And a little bit guaranteed.
Absolutely.
But here, people live for today
Yes.
because of the same haphazard implementation of policies.
They're afraid of the environment.
They're totally afraid because I don't know what is going to happen today. So it's more of a peculiar life. Let's live today for tomorrow we may die.
Since we have, if we look at the politics in, say, Nigeria, because at least we can speak to that of Nigeria, but I would imagine that also applies across Africa. If you look at the way politics is run in Nigeria, devoid of ideologies, people don't have positions. I don't see a politician say, you know, I am for low interest rates and this is how they should be done. I am for whatever it is that they are for. We don't see that happening in terms of ideologies. A person who is in this party today can be in the other party tomorrow. You never know the forces that have taken them there. With that kind of setup, can we have principles that we are pursuing? Let's say we want to pursue a principle of promoting the private sector, a principle of making sure all the schools are well equipped properly, because that's the thing to do, that they're privately run or whatever it is that they want to choose as a principle, without political ideologies, where parties take positions well known and clear that are in some sense differentiated from the others. Can we actually have real purposefully driven private sector ideas?
No, you can't. It was more of a, how do I say it, waking up every morning and facing what we woke up with. You can't plan long term. You don't have even medium term. It's all short term planning. and everything. For you to be able to do that, you have to have a system where transaction is minimized.
That transaction that you talked about.
When I talk transaction, I talk about corruption.
Yes.
You see, I'm somebody who will always tell people, when people talk about corruption, I talk about greed. It's two different things. If a policeman is moving on the road, a clerk who sits in his office and said that somebody should bring 1,000, or policeman who stands on the road and say, "Oh, God, why are you passing? Oh, your boys are here." It's all corruption. However, the greatest problem is the greed. Those people who are high offices, who accumulate things they don't need, their children don't need, their grandchildren don't need, their great-grandchildren, that is the problem. That is why I always say to people
But
that
do they do that because it's easy to do it, or they do that because they just want to do it?
two things. I always say greed must have a limit or you're sick.
Yes.
Most of them are sick. Because when you accumulate what you don't need, I call it sickness.
But what's the treatment for this sickness, Your Excellency? Because if it's a sickness, we need to have treatment
A lot.
for it.
We have to remove money from our system.
Okay.
If you're going to support education in Anambra State, money must move from the bank to school.
Yes.
People think, oh, the only way to cure, yes, stringent law on corruption based on what is happening in China, for example. It depends on call it the quantity or the volume. Because it's not the same thing for a guy who struggles while he's in office to build one house and somebody who has 40. You could see there might be a need for this man who is struggling, but the other one who has 40. So the great side of it is what I think we should fight and fight aggressively.
Your Excellency,
What it does, the great side of it, is that it kills entrepreneurship.
okay.
Nobody thinks in a system like that. It kills professionalism. Why will anybody be working hard to be a professor or do the kind of things you do when I could become maybe chairman of local government, commissioner, a governor, whatever, minister, whatever, PAMSEC, whatever, and then accumulate as much as possible. It kills hard work.
But how do we get it to happen? How do we get people to develop this attitude for hard work?
I keep saying it. You must take ownership of your country, ownership of your government. Ask questions. Tell your leaders.
Yes.
We must not celebrate impunity. We must not celebrate criminality.
Yes.
If somebody, we cannot vote, say, a chairman of a local government who does not have a car, and in 6 months, he has vehicles all over the place.
And
Has houses everywhere. Nobody asks questions.
Yes.
And worse still, he will invite us for Thanksgiving and we'll all be there. I'm praying for him that God continue to bless him. When we know where that came from.
yes.
No, he's celebrating and adoring impunity.
But why do we applaud him? Why do we celebrate him? Why do we go there to congratulate him?
That's why I said the people must take ownership.
But why are we doing it now is what I'm saying. What's the gain that the people get that will cause them to do
You
that?
need to. One of the key things I've always preached is proper education.
Okay.
You can't change a system unless the people are properly educated,
Absolutely.
unless the people are morally educated,
Absolutely.
unless the people know that what makes a society is the value they cherish.
Yes.
If a society is devoid of values, like we are today, you can hardly do anything.
You're absolutely right. We hear very little of that in our public discourse.
That's what we need to discuss. We need to bring civility and order in our system.
So we need skills. What are the, and you haven't been governor of a major state in the country, and you were very successful, I might add. What are the basic skill sets that a state would need, or a nation would need, to build a nation that can be competitive? Where we begin to move away from some of these other things that we're talking about, the greed and the personal notions and all of that. What skill sets do we need to try to ensure that we have, so that, when you talk about moving or turning, so everybody can turn and move with you as the leader? On balance, the fortunes of Africa are tied to the promise of Nigeria. Therefore, it is in the interest of Africa to have a stable and prosperous Nigeria. Even so, it is up to Nigerians to build and develop Nigeria. However, I think that Nigerians and Africans have to get their development strategies right. At the EBS, we have developed a RED in Africa concept. RED, that is Refined Economic Development in Africa, is a development strategy that recognizes community economic competitiveness as the foundation for a stronger pace of growth and sustainable development among African countries. My experience as an international and development economist in academia, business, and government over many years has shown that national economies that succeed and become globally competitive and preeminent are those that promote mass participation in the economic development process, especially at the community level. In this consideration, RED in Africa promotes a refined EBS-style local economic development as the most foundational building block in a nation's economic development program. As Governor Peter Obi has said, we have to use strategies that focus on equipping and empowering the people, and not on what party has power over the people. We now have ways to promote community economic competitiveness. After all, the most competitive communities typically emerge as economic growth poles, and thus become national and global centers of excellence in economic experience. As I have said before, what is needed most in Nigeria today is strong economic growth, driven collectively by a people that are committed to sharing equitably in the burden they carry and from the proceeds of their productivity. For Africa to keep rising, beneficial programs such as the MDGs or new forms of it that are designed from outside Africa must be adjusted and made to be efficacious in addressing the development problems of Africa. Our primary aim in economic development must be about how to speed job creation and income generation among our communities and therefore throughout our nations. I'm Magnus Packle, and that's my view.